So another story that's frankly not surprising in the slightest is that Trump administration was trying to more or less cover up reports of how bad the coronavirus pandemic has been getting in the United States, and obviously they're doing that for their own political reasons, for their political calculations, because they think, well, we hide this, we push it as far under the rug as we can, we try to downplay it, then it's better for Trump's election chances, even if it leads to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of more people dying, getting infected with the coronavirus. So this is from Common Dreams. I'll link it down below. White House cover-up. COVID-19 task force reports withheld from public, reveals Trump knew of threats as he spread lies. And again, it's not surprising at all. Again, Trump is just a self-serving egomaniac, totally narcissistic, completely absorbed with whatever is going to further his personal and political agenda. So again, this shouldn't be surprising, and basically anybody that supports Trump is just buying into that whole stupid, ridiculous MAGA narrative and buying into the cult of personality that is Donald Trump. So let's see. So these assessments were kept secret from the public until Monday, when the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis released a trove of task force reports dated between July 23rd and August 9th that highlighted the extent to which Trump's public proclamations about COVID-19 crisis have diverged from the findings of experts operating in the White House. But again, I mean, why would these experts not resign in protest of Trump's blatant lies and propaganda to actually say what's going on? Like, why did they think it was more necessary or helpful to remain in those positions and let Trump get away with these lies and propaganda? I mean, I don't know. This is from Clyburn. Task force reports released today show the White House has known since June that coronavirus cases are surging across the country and many states are becoming dangerous red zones where the virus is spreading fast. Chairman of the subcommittee. Rather being straight with the American people and creating a national plan to fix a problem, Clyburn continued, the president and his enablers kept these alarming reports private while publicly downplaying the threat to millions of Americans. And again, it's all for his political game. Him and his handlers think that by downplaying the coronavirus pandemic, it's like, oh, it's gonna go away. We're doing good. We test more than anybody in the world. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Elect me, MAGA. Yeah, making America great again. Or America is great now. I don't know. So much cognitive dissonance for people that support Trump. It's pretty entertaining. Let's see. Each of the 8 task force reports released by the subcommittee on Monday contain analysis and conclusions that run counter to the recent public statements of Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, the chair of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. And why the fuck would you put Mike Pence as the chair of the Coronavirus Task Force? The dude's fucking anti-science. He repealed some laws while he was governor in Indiana, or vetoed them, or whatever, that allowed basically HIV/AIDS to spread and increase. I mean, the dude's just a fucking joke. This is probably one area where you could say that a Biden-Harris administration would lead to some harm reduction with regards to handling a pandemic. I think we can safely say that, at least from a public health perspective. I don't know if they would necessarily be any better, from an economic perspective by advocating for UBI. And again, Biden's adamant that he doesn't support Medicare for all. So on June 29th, just days after Pence declared that all 50 states are opening up safely and responsibly, the task force issued a private assessment warning that Mississippi reported a 117% increase in new cases in the week ending June 26, resulting from increased community transmission in multiple counties attributed to reduced social distancing. Chuck Idelson, communications senior strategist for National Nurses United, tweeted that the newly released task force reports are evidence of White House cover-up. Again, this has kind of been going on since, the pandemic. Trump's been trying to downplay it, hide it as much as possible. And yet another indication of how Donald Trump could care less how many people died due to his malfeasance on protecting lives from COVID-19. I mean, that's on point. He doesn't give a shit. If it takes 2 million people for him to get elected, he could care less. And then here's just some examples. June 23rd, report. On June 16th, Vice President Pence claimed in an op-ed that panic over a resurgence of coronavirus infections was overblown. But on June 23rd, the White House task force concluded that 7 states were in the red zone, indicating the highest risk of coronavirus spread. Yes, that's overblown, clearly, Mike Pence. The task force found new cases were up 70% in Arizona, 72% in Texas, 87% in Florida, 93% in Oklahoma, 134% in Idaho. And there's more examples. I'm not going to read over all those. The subcommittee went on to warn that despite the continued spread of COVID-19 around the U.S., the Trump administration has refused to support private task force recommendations aimed at stemming the pandemic. The task force reports released today recommend that state and local governments implement heightened public health measures to combat the spread of the virus, including requiring face masks in public, closing bars and gyms, and strictly limiting gatherings on a statewide basis in certain states, the subcommittee said. Yet the Trump administration has failed to publicly support most of the task force recommendations. For example, President Trump has refused to call for a nationwide mask mandate. In a statement, Clyburn said, as a result of the president's failures, more than 58,000 additional Americans have died since the task force first started issuing private warnings. I mean, those tens of thousands of people, that blood is on Trump's hands, Pence administration's hands. And again, it's what did they say? It's like necro-capitalism, this capitalist death cult that's willing to sacrifice literally tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of people to the market for his reelection chances. It's frankly disgusting, but not surprising, because again, Trump is a fucking egomaniac. Doesn't matter what type of harm he causes to individuals, the amount of suffering or death that his action or his administration's inaction causes, as long as he and his team makes the political calculation that it benefits him personally or politically, life has no meaning. And that's very interesting because, again, the Republicans are supposed to be the pro-life party, but as we've seen, tens of thousands of additional deaths are on his administration's hand, and that body count is going to continue to pile up. And again, more examples of how much of the U.S. is a failed state with regards to the pandemic. It's disgusting, but not surprising. Peace. Much love.